Hey, now if you're a big fan of my channel, you'll know that recently I have done some videos on Mario games. I'm doing a Let's Stink series on Super Mario 64, and I'm also doing a Gaming Brothers series with my brother on Super Mario Brothers 3. So I'm sort of a big fan on Mario. That was me when I was stupid. I was a stupid kid. And this is me now. And I have matured. Hello everyone, my name is MrJepthah, and I don't want to brag or anything, but I am way better at making videos now than I did at 16. I am also a much bigger Mario fan now than I was then. At that age, I quite honestly didn't really play Mario games. So with that fact, it's really stupid that I decided to make a top 10 list about a subject that I didn't really care about. I was just emulating what I saw other people doing, and I just thought I would have fun with it. But I really didn't know what I was talking about. If you don't know what I mean, then go watch that video. No, wait, actually don't do that. That would be embarrassing. Don't go watch that video. Go watch this one instead. Since then, I have definitely played a lot more Mario games, and I actually have legitimate opinions about them. I also know the difference between objective and subjective opinions. And I am now ready to revise my list and give you the definitive, at least for now, list of my top 10 favorite Mario games. Disclaimer! As opposed to my idiotic 16-year-old self, I am man enough to admit that I am not a big fan or some sort of expert on Mario. However, I do consider myself a fan, and I would say I'm in some strange gray area between a novice and an expert. But that doesn't mean that I don't love Mario. It's been around since before I was born, and some of my favorite childhood memories with my brother and my cousins involve Mario in one way or another. So I figured now is the time to revise my list, considering there are a whole bunch of Mario games coming out than I can afford. So I better do this now before it becomes irrelevant. So with that said, and clarified, let's get on with it! My top 10 favorite Mario games. Probably an odd inclusion here, especially when you see what I had to omit in the honorable mentions. But this game was one of the first video games I ever played. I played it with my brother and my cousins on our uncle's N64, and we always had a blast playing it. Even now with it being on the Switch Online, playing it again with those same special people in my life, we still have an enjoyable time with it. Right down to that iconic and cringy inside joke.
It's a tie-tie.
Aside from the nostalgia, the game itself is really fun, whether you like tennis or not. There are many different game modes to entertain you and keep you interested. I don't have a lot to say about this particular game because, well, I already made a video on the game. You can check it out for yourself if you haven't seen it. But if you have seen it, then you understand the love and nostalgia I have for it and why it will always remain as one of my favorite Mario games and certainly my favorite Mario sports game. But I'm still peeved that we got Donkey Kong Jr. instead of Diddy Kong. Seriously, Camelot, what were you thinking? Spoiler alert for the rest of this list. Super Mario World is not on here. Wait, don't leave. I'm not saying it's bad, and despite the SNES being my all-time favorite console, Super Mario World was never one I played that often. I certainly did play it, but it's never really been my favorite. I pretty much only included it in my original video because I couldn't come up with anything else for my list. Which was why in my playthrough of some of the SNES games on the Switch, that I never continued and never will, I was trepidatious playing the sequel, Yoshi's
Island.
For the reasons that it was a sequel to a game I never really enjoyed, and the game's lasting reputation of that. In fact, at this time, because of Mario World and Mario Party, I've honestly always hated Yoshi, and I had no interest in playing any game that was starring Yoshi. Until I hit start. And I absolutely loved it. I know as a big, strong man, I'm supposed to be all about everything action, darkness, suspense, and anger, but this game is so stinking cute. While most games I've played can make me angry or irritated, the overall atmosphere of this game is so calming and relaxing. I don't even care how stressful some of the levels are.
If I'm super stressed out, I can turn this game on and it calms me down to a level where I can get my head cleared and I can think straight. And yes, the same is true for the other Yoshi games like Yoshi's Story or Yoshi's Woolly World. But those aren't what I would consider Mario games. And yes, this is a Mario game. It's called Super Mario World 2. It's in the name. It counts. Also, yeah, let's address the crying baby Mario in the room. Yes, crying Mario is annoying, and I can't defend it. But luckily, to me anyway, it doesn't detract anything from the enjoyment of the game. It does give you the sense of urgency to catch him faster, if only to shut him up. I'd be remiss if I didn't put a Mario Kart game on this list. I've had tons of fun with lots of Mario Kart games. Of course, Mario Kart Deluxe, the Wii, the original for the SNES, and of course, the first one I ever played, Mario Kart 64. And as great as all of those games are, I honestly couldn't justify any of them being better than Mario Kart Double Dash, which I have only played once. I thought very long and very hard about this, and as much as I wanted to include Mario Kart 64, Double Dash is just better. Honestly, Double Dash is such an obscure version of the Mario Kart genre, while all the others, quite honestly, are kind of the same. All the other Mario Karts are certainly great, but they don't really have elements that make them their own version. Sure, they continue to improve on the previous one graphically and technically, but Double Dash is so different from all the others. It's not even in the same street. It's got its own area code. A while back, I had played this for the first and only time that I can remember with my cousin from Who Needs Normal. And I've gotta say, I don't remember being enthralled with it then, but looking back now, I wish I could play it more often. I really love that you can pick not just one, but two racers for a race. That's just so cool. One character handles the driving, the other one handles the items. There are also strategies that can be implemented, like what special items to use for those characters. I can't say much about this game, but I really, really want to play this game again. If I ever get myself a GameCube, I will most certainly get this game. Or if they ever decide to put GameCube games on the Switch Online or remaster this game, yeah, I'll never stop playing it. The first game in the series, give or take Mario technically being in earlier games, this is the first definitive game. I, of course, grew up playing this from time to time, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago when the Mario 3D All-Stars came out. For fun, I thought I'd play through the original Mario All-Stars, and my respect for this original game increased tenfold. And I had a lot of fun during my first full run-through finishing the game. I loved everything from the level design to the controls, the power-ups, the enemies, and the secrets scattered throughout the game. I felt so accomplished when I finally killed that final boss and got a kiss from the princess. I actually find myself going back to this game and trying to speedrun through it, and often having little contests with my wife to see who can get to the end first. I always win, of course.
And no, in case you're wondering, she's not making me sleep on the couch because I beat her at Mario games. She's making me sleep on the couch because I said her cooking isn't as good as my mom's. It's alright, at least she knows that her place is in the kitchen.
We don't have a doghouse.
One of the first GBA games I ever got, and I had no idea what it was. It was just a blind purchase, and it blew me away at how great it was. One of the first RPGs I ever played, and I had no idea it was an RPG. But I was pleasantly surprised when I found out, as I was someone who was just dipping their toes into RPGs. In this Mario game, Princess Peach, for once, is not kidnapped. Her voice is. That setup, for one, is great and hilarious in its own right. But it's so different from the majority of other Mario games, and the villain isn't even Bowser. I love the art style in this game. It's probably one of my favorite art styles for any Mario game ever. I love the character sprites and the oddly shaped set pieces. The combat system is fun, and I love how you can deal extra damage or dodge attacks with a carefully timed button push. I love this system so much that I always instinctively try to add extra damage when I play other RPGs. Come on, Stan, deal extra... Why aren't you working? So, if you haven't already turned the video off at this point, you probably will now. Super Mario 64 DS. Listen, the original Mario 64 is a phenomenal game, and I don't want to take anything away from its success. It revolutionized the video game industry, and some of our favorite games would have never been made without this leading the way. And besides, don't get mad at me. I put it in my top 5. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I guess I'm technically putting the DS game on here. You know what? I'm making an unscripted executive decision. I'm lumping both games into one because they're technically the same game. They're just a little different. They're pretty different. But I do really prefer the DS version. I really do love Mario 64. There's so much to do, so much to see.
So what's wrong with taking the back streets?
Running around the castle, jumping into paintings, killing Goombas, catching bunnies. Well, attempting to catch bunnies. But like I said, I prefer the DS version. Not just because it's portable. Well, I guess both versions are technically portable now. So I guess that means the only reason I prefer the DS version is because you can play as other characters, like Yoshi and Luigi. And another guy no one cares about. I like having the variety and the option to play as those other characters whenever you want to. Well, kind of whenever you want to. The controls in the original game are okay. But I will acknowledge the DS controls are kinda stupid. You have to push and hold the Y button to run, which, you know what, it makes sense since the original DS didn't have a joystick or a joypad or whatever this thing is called to regulate Mario's speed like the original game did. But I don't like it. I have to run more places than I do walk, so the default should have just been to run and push the Y button to walk. Also, that stupid D-pad! Mario controls too stiffly now. I don't like it. Minor complaint about both of these games. The camera is the worst and I hate it so much! That being said, it's better in the DS version. Not by much. So, with all that said, Mario 64 is an amazing game that I truly do love. Just not as much as the next games on this list. And apparently not as much as everyone else does. The first RPG I ever played. I had always been interested in RPGs, but since they all looked the same to me, I didn't know which one I should play first. But I found this back in the day when my brother and I weren't emulating games. When we legitimately bought them from Nintendo because they've always done such a good job of making their old games available to the public on every console they've ever had. Thanks, Nintendo. Please don't sue me or arrest me or murder me or... But when I played it, I loved it. But I couldn't get past Croco for whatever reason. I finally did though years later on my legal SNES Classic, so maybe it was the emulation. Nope, it's just that I stink. Easily one of my favorites of the console, but now there's a remake which, as of writing the script, I still have yet to play.
I've played it now, and it's amazing, and I love it so much.
I love the character roster in this game. I wish characters like Mallow and Gino would appear in more Mario games, and not just cameos. It's so weird how a Mario game got me emotionally invested in these characters, period. It's a Mario game, you're not supposed to get emotionally invested. But the developers did a phenomenal job with this game's story and plot. You even get to team up with Bowser, how wild is that? This was not only my first experience with tactical turn-based RPGs, but a lot of other people's as well. I can just see little Johnny playing this and then looking over on his shelf to see Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger or something. This was a great gateway into a new experience of gaming for lots of kids, and it certainly was for me. Too bad I don't play that many RPGs.
Before we see what my top 3 favorite Mario games are, let's take a second and look at some of my honorable mentions.
I really like Super Mario Bros. 2. It's so different from the other 2D Mario games, which is probably because it's not even technically a Mario game. I got Super Mario Advance years ago, not realizing it was just a port of Mario 2. But I really liked it, and I still do.
I said it's never really been my favorite, but I actually do like Super Mario World.
I'm not gonna talk about it here, but I have a weird relationship with this game. Okay, fine, but you have to promise not to make fun of me. When I was this stupid age, I would daydream about being a trading card, living out Toy Story scenarios.
Leave me alone.
Honestly, this game is really great, and I really want to play the Thousand Year Door now that it's been remade, but I still have yet to play that yet, so for now... Paper Mario! I really like Dr. Mario, and Dr. Mario likes me. The Dr. Mario game on the N64 is way better than the original. For one, there's a story mode. Yeah, it's as dumb as it sounds like it would be, but it's fun. Funny story about this game. I originally got it because I was a PBG fan and he did a video on it long ago. And as much as I may have enjoyed the video, I was more curious about if something in fact was true about the game. I just have this to say about it. They knew what they were doing. I love the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Yeah, they're all carbon copies of each other, but I don't care. I love 2D Mario games, and the artistic choices here make 2D Mario look so much cooler. I still have yet to finish it, but when I played Mario Odyssey for the first time, I had a ton of fun with it, and I will finish it. But for now, I remember having a good time with it. When the first Mario Maker came out, I really wanted to play it. But we didn't have a Wii U, and I didn't know anyone who had a Wii U or a 3DS, so I could never try it out. But Mario Maker 2 came out on the Switch, and I've had a blast with it. 2 is of course expansive on what the first one did, so with it being my only experience with the series, it's pretty good. You might have noticed, but I love 2D Mario games, and Wonder tickled my fancy. The first time I played it, I was homesick from work, and I played through the majority of the game, so it's neither hard nor very long, but the amount of fun to be had with this game is endless. Well, at least to me. I really liked it.
Okay, those are my honorable mentions for my favorite Mario games. Now let's take a look at my top 3 favorite Mario games. I love Mario Party. Some of my favorite video game memories are of me and my brother and cousins playing Mario Party 1 and 2. And I've tried some other ones from time to time. But I can't honestly say there isn't a Mario Party that I like more than Mario Party 2. There is just so much fun to be had with this game, and it all starts with the game's defining feature: the costumes. Each map has a different theme, and the characters dress up in costumes that fit that particular theme. It's fun window dressing that doesn't affect the actual gameplay, but it's the charm that I care about the most. I also think this game has the best maps. The first game wasn't bad, but the maps were too simple, whereas 2 expanded on them and, in my mind, perfected Mario Party maps. Using pathways and doors, it's not just running around in circles. The minigames here are also some of my all-time favorites in the series. And no, I haven't played all the Mario Party games. Why do you ask? But overall, I had so much fun playing this game for the first time. And I even remember some of the crazy things I did with it back in the day. I have enjoyed every single moment that I have playing this game, both back then and even to this day.
And now, for my number 2 favorite Mario game. Actually, I legitimately can't decide which one I loved better. I just seem to love them equally for different reasons. So here's my cop-out, tied for first favorite Mario games of all time, in no particular order. Super Mario Bros. 3 is my true gamer origin story. Years ago, when my brother and I really got into making YouTube videos, we made a little series called Gaming Brothers, where we played this game. We never got through the game completely, but the night we recorded made me realize how much I liked video games. The only video game I really only liked was Madden, but pretty much everything else I played casually. Basically, I feel like that's how everyone says Mario 64 is when they started their video game puberty. Mario Bros. 3 is that for me. To me, the original Mario game was limited and had the charm it did because it was the first one. But Mario 3 expanded on that. Not just in the sense that it's a stage play now, for some reason. Even the overworld map made this game feel more like you're traversing a world. I know Mario World is the world one, but Mario 3 did it first. And better. In my opinion, the map gives you different locations to get more items from, including a slot machine that I have somehow broken on the Game Boy Advance version. No joke. Somehow 9 out of 10 times I can win the slot machine on the GBA version of the game, and all I've got to do when I come to the last one is just look away and I get it.
Alright, I have to prove that I'm not crazy. I don't know what's going on. What I'm doing here. Okay, mushroom. Okay, I got that. I'm gonna look away. I'm not even gonna look at it. And I'm just gonna hit the button randomly.
It's not just the mushroom that powers you up this time. there's more power-ups, including a leaf that turns him into a raccoon. I don't know how that works, but it does. And now he uses his new tail to slap enemies in the face with. And it gives him the ability to fly?
Raccoons don't fly. Isn't that right, Mr. Fluffy Doodle?
Yep.
Thank you. What were the developers thinking when they thought a raccoon could fly? Oh.
And so many more enemies to battle this time. Ever since that night of playing this game with my brother, I have constantly gone back to and sped-run through the first 4 worlds or so. This is easily not just one of my favorite Mario Brothers games, it is one of my favorite video games of all time. Yep. Okay, I'll say more. But do I really need to? It's Super Mario Galaxy. Everybody has talked about it, and everybody knows it's one of the best Mario games. Mario is no longer in a world. He's in outer space. Beyond that, the levels are on spheres. With gravity being a platform feature, I guess it already was, but you know what I mean. The level designs are unlike anything Mario games had done or has done since then. The technological ramifications aside, you could tell the developers put a lot of time and effort into refining this game into a masterpiece. The story foundation is nothing new. Bowser kidnaps the Peach, and Mario has to go from world to world collecting stars in order to rescue her. The catch is, there's another Princess Mario meets.
Introducing for the very first time, Princess
B. Oh, wait, she's a queen. This is Princess Rosalina's introduction to the series, and she has become a vastly popular character because of this game. Her story is very interesting and fascinating as you learn more about her through the progression of the game. I literally never played this game until the 3D All-Stars came out. But if there's one thing I knew about this game, as opposed to everything else, it was the soundtrack. The orchestra makes this music feel cinematic and epic, beyond what I've ever heard in a video game soundtrack before. Go ahead, tell me a video game soundtrack that's better. Go ahead.
Super.
Maybe I cheated making this and Mario 3 type for first, but really, it's so hard to pick one over the other. They both took what was essentially the same thing that was used in a previous game and expanded on them and made them better. Coupled that with the love and nostalgia that I have for these games, they will always remain my favorite Mario games of all time.